finish what it started. To take our home. That's why I've been looking for you for centuries. There are only a few of you who carry the light of the traveler, who have the strength to fight the darkness. I'm not going to lie to you, Guardian. You are Earth's last hope.
Back in the review saddle again.
This is where we objectively talk about, like, this sucks, this doesn't.
Yeah,
Is that what we're doing?
That's the thing. You take a number, you arbitrarily assign a number to the various things in a video game in order to quantify the value of it to the consumer.
Okay. Destiny, I give it 17.
Out of?
Oh, shit. See, you just said a number. You didn't say, like, a scale.
Well, welcome everybody back to Rage Select. It's time for a review. I know I've been promising to get back on the review train for a while, but Jason's back in town. Things are starting to even out. So we're going to get reviews. And what better way to kick this off? I think the last review we did was like Watch Dogs, or I guess...
Did we even do Watch Dogs?
Well, I did Watch Dogs with somebody, I guess. Anyway, so Destiny is out, and this is... Okay, so for those of you who have been living in a sewer with Ninja Turtles for a while... Bungie, the creators of Halo, have been like chained to a wall in Microsoft Studios for fucking a million years.
Yeah.
They made their games. They got to get out. They got to make it on their own. They're going to make their own game, and they're going to make a game about Space Marines. Where is my new myth game, Bungie? Where the fuck is my new myth game?
Holy hell, I forgot about that. That game was awesome.
Yep. So this game might be. I'm trying to think, Jason. What is can you think of a game that has been hyped up more than Destiny? Maybe the last Call of Duty.
Not many. Yeah, like this is like Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto levels of hype.
Yeah, like you couldn't turn around without seeing live action. And you know what it reminds me of is a Halo marketing push. But yes, so for those of you, like I said, who don't know, this game is a first-person shooter / MMO kind of border. I mean, a lot of people make the comparison to Borderlands, and I don't think that's outside of the box.
I can see it.
Yeah.
Sure.
So as far as story goes, the rough outlines here are that this is like, okay, so at some point, space dudes went to Mars. They got their asses to Mars, right?
Yep.
And when they got there, they found a giant cue ball called the Traveler.
Yeah.
And instantly it made everybody smarter and hipper, and they dressed better, and they smelled better, and we made Mercury into a garden world, which doesn't make any goddamn sense. And humanity went about amongst the stars. But it turns out that there was a price for the Traveler. There was the darkness. And can we just take a second to talk about Bungie's naming policy?
Oh my god, they just like pulled. Penny Arcade really did it best, where it was like someone in junior high writing metal sounding shit on the cover of their notebook, The Black Garden.
Right. It's just it's the blank.
Yeah.
Everything is the Guardians in the last city under the Traveler fighting the darkness, which is composed of the Hive, the Fallen, the Vet, et cetera, et cetera.
And they don't spend really any amount of time explaining to us how that's important,
right?
Or
So
who they are.
So to go back to the story, the Traveler, the darkness came, it pushed everybody back into Earth. There's one city left, and it's all cyborg and futuristic, and people living in the city. And you are a Guardian, and so you start the game. Peter Dinklage Bot, a.k.a. Guilty Spark, a.k.a. the Bit from Tron, or any floating robot that you've ever seen, comes over and finds you and brings you back from the dead, which it seems to me, if this is technology that exists in the future, that why has humanity been pushed back to Earth when you could just keep reviving people from the dead all the time? I don't know.
Just raise your zombie army to fight the darkness. 6
of one, half does the other. I'm not going to get too far into that. And so you've been brought back, and you're the chosen one. And then we start to get to the problem, which is the story of Destiny. Everybody in this game knows exactly what's going on in this universe except for you.
Yep.
And I could not make any emotional connection with the story whatsoever.
At all. It was so hollow, just filled with all of these tropes like, oh, it's like you said, the blank. These guys are coming to wipe us out.
Right.
That's all I got.
Right.
That's all I got from it.
Yeah, so eventually, I mean, this is the first, 4 missions of the game. You know, you get taken back to the last city and you meet up with the speaker for the Traveler. The Traveler's losing his power. You need to go out and help the Guardians keep the darkness at bay, blah, 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 blah. The problem, though, the specific problem is that this game, okay, so I don't know if you've ever seen a movie where people are talking about a thing and you have no idea what they're talking about. Like, it makes me miss bullshit Star Trek exposition.
Yeah.
And it's weird because you got a perfect setup, right? Your character's been dead. So when they say, and I'm not going to use any of the real names, but they say you need to go to the Taco Bell because the manager is plotting against the city, you know, and you're like, well,
Is that bad?
Is that bad?
You're saying that like it's bad.
Or they'll get people that be like, you need to go to the Pittsburgh, and everybody will be like, oh, not the Pitt. And I'm just like, what's so bad?
What is that?
What's bad about the Pittsburgh? What has the Pittsburgh done?
What? No, I don't want to go. I don't know why. I don't want to go.
So it's worth noting before anybody pushes up their glasses and in a nasally voice says, well, actually, that there is on the Bungie website, apparently, like whenever you kill a certain number of things, it says Grimoire card unlocked. Go to Bungie's website and you can read all the lore for this thing. And I got to tell you, Jason, I got to throw my red card down.
Yes.
If it's not in the game,
It doesn't count.
go fuck yourself. Like, it can be supplemental and that's fine, but in order to understand the emotional gravitas of this game, I'm not going to stop the game and go to Bungie's website.
That's like going to our old standby Taco Bell.
Right.
We'll just use that. Why not? And they say, this burrito is amazing, and you eat it, and it's like, it's pretty good. Well, you got to put this sauce on it.
Right.
That's only available at the store. So you got to, this burrito's really good, but you got to go to the store and buy the sauce and then put it on there yourself and then eat the burrito.
I feel more like you go to Taco Bell and they're like, we have this brand new burrito. It's so awesome. You're like, well, what's in it? They're like, well, you'll have to go buy the book at Barnes & Noble to
learn how to make it.
What's inside of this burrito. Because, I mean, and, you know, there's a certain distance that you can get just on kind of, I mean, you know, we do, what would you call it, like inference in fiction, right? Like you can say something and not specifically tell me what it is and I can figure it out.
Yeah.
But they just throw too much jargon at you to the point where my brain just overloads.
See,
doesn't have any connection anymore.
And asking all those questions and everything is a good way to build mystery, but I feel like they took it in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
I feel like they went too far with it. Like, you know, the good thing about the original Star Wars trilogy is that it would give you all these hints and everything. I fought with your father in the Clone Wars.
Right.
It's like, oh shit, the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
What's that? I want to know what that is. You know. But this, it just keeps throwing stuff like that out at you with no context.
Yeah, not even. I mean, not even the. I mean, you know, there are 4, at least as I can tell, there's 4 different villain monster people that you run into. There's 4 different races of villain.
I don't
people.
know how they relate to each other.
I don't know how they relate. I know that some of them are at war with some of the other ones, but they talk. You know, they describe them in certain ways where I'm like, well, they all just run at me and shoot and throw grenades and stuff, right? Like. It's not like one of the species all flies and one of them is the only one that teleports and these guys like melt into the shadows or anything. They all just kind of run at you and shoot, which actually brings us around to the combat, which in spite of the lackluster story, this is some damn fine feeling.
It's fun.
Halo Bungie style combat.
Yeah. It is very much the style that Bungie has spent the last 20 years or whatever refining. It is very much that.
So it is kind of mostly a stock standard first-person shooter. You've got basically one primary weapon, one secondary weapon, and then one like ultra weapon. As you level up, which you gain XP and level up, which I should like, but we'll get to that later. You are able to unlock a grenade, and there are 3 classes in the game: Hunter, Vanguard.
I think so.
And Warlock, I can never remember what I played that one.
Hunter, Gunslinger.
No, it's not Gunslinger.
No, one of them's Gunslinger.
No, it's not.
No?
That might be a subclass for the Hunter.
Oh, is it?
I don't know. Basically, there's a heavy dude, there's a light dude, and there's a mage. That's what it basically breaks down to.
Yeah.
Each one of them has a specific grenade attack. Each one of them has a specific super attack that charges up as you kill people. And each one of them has, what's the third thing? Oh, a melee attack, a special melee attack that has a cooldown timer on it. And then each one of those also has a subclass that once you hit level 15, you can switch over to and start leveling up. So I played as the Vanguard, which is kind of dishing out damage tank, but then there's actually a subsection of that called the Defender, where all of your stuff either shields you or you can put up these bubble shields or things like that.
Help out your party.
Right. And then you also level up your armor and your guns, and you could put different sights on stuff. And the level of customization here is pretty cool.
There's some decent loot farming.
Yeah.
To determine, these boots are good, but this gives me a little, it's not quite as overwhelming and detail-oriented, I guess, as, say, Diablo.
I was actually about to say, it reminds me more of Diablo because it's not like a D&D 16 stats. You have 3 stats and a couple of different boosters for them.
Yeah, but it's not quite as involved as Diablo.
No, mostly because it seems like the loot isn't random. Like, this isn't Borderlands style where
you don't get quite as much either.
Like I would stick with the same gun for long periods of time. And in that breakdown, one of the other things that I feel just a little bit jilted about is that the actual breakdown of what weapons you're able to get is really generic. It's assault rifle, scout rifle, which is semi-auto, 3-round burst. You got hand cannon, and that's all.
Sniper.
That's all for the primary.
For the primary,
right?
yeah.
And then for your sub weapons, you've got a shotgun, sniper rifle, or fusion rifle, where you just charge up and you do 3-shot bursts. And then you got your heavy weapons, where you have a heavy machine gun or
rocket launcher.
And it seems to me like this almost seems like a step backwards for Bungie, because when I think about Halo, I think of all those weapons were part of, and I don't want to just judge this game specifically on Halo, but when you go back and you play Bungie Halo, you had other stuff. You had like the Needler and some of the Covenant weapons that acted very differently. And
these are all, let's just swap it out for everything that you would find in your typical shooter.
Right. Right.
Let's fill all of those slots with their sci-fi analog.
Yeah. In fact, there's actually, but it's weird, and I didn't really notice it as much until there's one mission early on in the game where at the end of the mission you can get a sword, and you start swinging the sword around and hacking people up. One of the most fun missions in the game, because it was doing something that was different, because 90% of the missions in this game are take your Peter Dinklage bot to a place, he's going to shoot his lasers at a computer, and then dudes are going to run at you.
While Peter Dinklage is scanning the computer.
Exactly. The mission, I wish
it really was Peter Dinklage, though. Like, you just kept him in your pocket.
I've got to tell you, okay, you go down to the voice acting for this, right?
Yeah.
We got fucking Nathan Fillion is in there. The lady that played Zoe, I can never remember her name, in Firefly is in there. The dude that was Broyles and Fringe, he's in there. You got
Lance Reddick.
Lance Reddick, he's in there. And all of them are doing a better voice acting job than Peter Dinklage. He's not bad, but he's just so...
Well, he is a robot.
Yeah, but there's... Katie Sackhoff was a robot. She was Edie in Mass Effect, right?
Was she?
It wasn't not Katie Sackhoff. It was somebody else. It was the other one. But think of Edie in Mass Effect, right? That was a robot lady, and she had a lot more kind of range, because he just comes out and he tells you stuff and then he goes away. And part of it could be that, like before, just not super emotionally engaged in the plot. But
he was just like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, and I'm in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I feel like they got him because of Game of Thrones, right? They didn't get him because he was the best. Halfway through the game, I started thinking to myself, you know what? I really wish that this was like Nolan North or John DiMaggio or even fucking. I'd settle for Tara Strong. I'd settle for fucking Harley Quinn.
I really don't think, and I've said this before, I really don't think celebrity names, celebrity voices sell a game.
Yeah,
I really don't.
I think there's a moment where you go, oh, is that Peter? But you remember when we played Dishonored, right? And you get to the end of Dishonored, and you're like, holy shit, there was like a ton of voice act, and I didn't even recognize them, but they did a good job. So there's that. Now, as far as the actual game goes, it's broken up into, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 areas. I think it's, 4 areas, maybe, that you go into. 4 or 5 areas that you go into. And each area has about 4 or 5 story missions where you go in It's connected to the dumb story, and you go to a place and you put Peter Dinklage bot in a place,
Yep.
and then he's
Yep.
done. Those areas also have an option. I mean, everybody's probably seen it in either alpha or beta footage where you basically just roam around and pick up maybe the world's most boring missions. Go to this place and kill this guy. Kill 4 of these guys. There's
Kill
one,
5 of these guys with this gun.
yeah. There's one that is actually stand on this location for about 30 seconds, and then this little meter will fill up, and then you win the mission.
What?
They're called scouting missions, where you have to go to a place,
Oh, yeah.
stand where a thing is, and the little meter will fill up, and then, hey, we did it,
Yeah.
we're done. And it was just like, oh, God.
You guys spent how much on this game?
Yeah. So those missions, I mean, that gives you the ability to go and kind of zoom around in the world a little bit and see everything. But I got to say that while the worlds are decent, I mean, you've got a variety of different planets with different architectures on them. There's a lot of it is kind of same. I mean, there's not a lot. How's the best way to put this? The individual buildings don't have a lot of character to them, right? They're just boxes,
Yeah.
boxes and boxes, and here's a tunnel to this box.
Industrial looking.
Right.
Yeah.
There isn't a whole lot to do in the environment. I think that it may have made it more interesting if there were more clearly defined areas, like pockets, or even an overworld map, which I was never able to find, where you could actually just see where you are on the
Oh,
map.
yeah.
That would maybe
No
point
idea.
out, hey, this area is infested with these guys, and they're of this level. And so, later on,
Yeah.
you can come back to there, and maybe there's better loot over there or whatever. But not even that. I mean, it's even weird to the point where, the map, the little circle map that you get in every video game, doesn't have dots for where the characters are.
It's like, oh, there's something in this general direction between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock.
Yeah, it's just wedges that light up red,
Yeah.
and it sometimes makes it really confusing. So there's those, and then there's also these kind of larger tier raid missions where you'll end up fighting bosses that... Did you do very many of these?
Yeah,
You do
yeah.
3 or 4 of them?
That can actually be fun.
It can be fun. It's just that a lot of times the bosses are such bullet sponges.
I know. It's
I mean,
ridiculous.
There were a few where I was having problems with it, and we figured out that the solution was basically have 2 out of the 3 people in your party stand left and right at you and shoot at anything that's coming at you, and the other person just stands in the middle and just basically unloads every clip they've got
everything he's got. Yeah.
onto the boss until they're out, and then they'll go pick up some ammo, and then the next person will start unloading everything they've got on the boss. Sometimes it was interesting, but I feel like this is one of those situations where more is not better. It's like just because
Yeah.
well,
It wasn't a good strategy to beat it. It was just throw all of the bullets at it.
right. It would have been different if the bosses, because they took so long to beat, went through phases,
Yeah.
sloughed off their outside armor but got faster, or spawned. I mean, there's just continual spawn
Yeah.
during those boss
Now, the
fights.
first couple of times you fight them, like those walkers or whatever, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
But then you realize there's the sameness there.
Yeah, that's the whole problem with the game, is that as you go on, you find yourself just doing the same thing over and over again. They introduce a new enemy, I'm just shooting him. I'm just shooting him and
Yeah.
throwing grenades at him. And I know that sounds like a weird complaint because all FPSs are just
That
shooting.
wizard is from the moon. Great, I'm going to shoot him.
Also, that's not there. They
know.
took
I
out
never
the
did hear it.
Moon Wizard voice. Also, speaking of things that are lacking that I saw in the beta, I never ran across a single public event while I was playing the game.
Oh, I did.
Where the drop like a walker or something?
Yeah,
How
yeah.
many did you run into?
2 or 3.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I never did. Not a
Yeah.
single time.
In fact, it got to the point. I may have even been more than 2 or 3. It got to the point where I was like, okay, I don't have time for this shit right now. And other public events, not with just the walker. Like these guys are going to be mining something.
Right.
You've got to kill all of them within this time period, otherwise they're successful.
Okay. So they have those events. Did you see any of them anywhere but Earth?
I don't remember where I saw them.
Okay.
I want to say I saw one on the moon, but I'm not sure about that.
Okay. So in addition to those in the single player, there's also multiplayer, which I kind of liked in the beta, and then when I got to level 20, I tried doing it, and it was just like I threw my controller down and rage quit the game.
It's demoralizing.
It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
It's called the Crucible, and you could pull up a bunch of people. You go in there.
Yeah. It's not called the Tea Garden.
Well, I wasn't looking for the tea garden, but I wasn't looking for I don't know. I mean, I guess that's inevitable. A game that's for people who played Halo has been out for 4 days. Everybody is a fucking master at it now.
Yeah.
okay, fine. But I mainly stuck to the single player stuff. And one of the really, really cool things that you can do, I mean, it's obvious, is partying up with people. So I had a bunch of people from Raid Select who would come and help me out.
Yeah.
I feel like they maybe need to do a little bit of work on either adjusting the difficulty or like not to bring everything back to Dark Souls, but in Dark Souls they have limitations as to whose game you can join based on level.
Right.
So like it would have been nice maybe if there was an option or and I didn't even check to see. There might totally be that says like if I'm level 6, I only want people from level 4 to level 8 to be able to join my game. I don't need people who are level 65 to come into my level 8 game and just do the monster mash.
I ran into that.
Yeah.
I was playing, and whenever I would jump on, I was like, oh, hey, it's Fernando and Dylan. Cool. All right. Yeah, let's play. And then it was everything I could do. It's like, come on, I just want to kill one thing. I just want to kill. Because they would be like level 20-something, and I was like level 6.
Yeah.
And I'm like playing like I usually play, take some cover, take a couple of shots,
right.
Jump back into cover. They're just walking through there like goddamn Judge Dredd, just like, I'm like, guys, I want. And then at the end of the level, they were just like, oh, we'll kill the invisible guys for you next time, Chase. They were just being so condescending. But at the end of the level, it's like, Dylan killed 26 people. Fernando killed 27 bad guys. Jason killed 4.
Yeah.
It wasn't for lack of trying.
Yeah.
I mean, I was doing my best. It got so bad, I was getting reckless.
Uh-huh.
I was like, I can't waste time trying to shoot these guys.
Right.
I got to run way ahead and just get all Jason Voorhees and start stabbing motherfuckers.
That was the only way I found. I mean, I think that those guys, some of those same people were like level 22, 23 when I was level 18.
Yeah.
And the only way, and I did come out on top of the kill list, but it was because I had zero, just no sense of danger.
Yeah.
I'd run into a group of 6 guys and just throw a grenade at them and then just go, what, bitch? And then blow up.
Yep.
So, but in spite of, Jason, I feel like we've been doing a lot of complaining, and I don't want to sit here and not say that it's a fun game.
It is fun. Yeah.
It's definitely a fun game. It's totally worth $60. It's got plenty of content. Actually, you don't even know, but like once you get to level 20, it unlocks a whole bunch of other stuff. Like there's a metagame that you do where you get additional things, because once you hit level 20 you don't level up anymore. You have to collect these certain reward tokens to level up to 21, 22, etc.
Yeah.
There's also, over the course of the game, you know how they mentioned the Future War Cult and Dead Radio or whatever their name is, stuff like that. You can go join those factions and get your Vanguard points turned into those guys' points and then cash that stuff in for epic loot weaponry and stuff like that. There's a whole bunch of like one-time use items that you can buy or that you can pick up from things that'll let you double your XP or double like your glimmer, your money that you do for a little time. Once you finally graduate up to the blue weapons, because there's regular weapons, green equipment, and then blue equipment. And I never saw anything about blue. I don't know if there's anything up there, but those weapons level up with you. It reminds me of Darksiders too. Remember we had the level weapons that would level up as you use those weapons more and more. It unlocks more of them, so you actually get to a point where you can take a weapon that you got that has less base damage than another weapon, but upgrade it to the point where it has more damage than that other weapon, kind of letting you have a nice relationship with your weapon. Except for but there's also some weird stuff in there too, where like at the end of the game, I got given a gun, right? And it was a really awesome blue gun, and it was one of the 3-shot pulse rifles.
Yeah.
I like machine guns.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really want to use it, but it was so much more powerful than anything else that I had that I was like, I guess I'll...
Yeah, you'd be stupid not to.
I guess I will use this.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where I go like, could we not have just done hey, which weapon do you want?
Yeah.
Right? Like, could it not have just been that? Because there are other situations where you'll get a thing for beating a boss and then go trade it back in. They'll give you a choice from different things.
Right.
Here, they just give you this one gun, and it was like, well, I don't really want this gun, but I can't not use it. So there's a bunch of stuff, kind of rough around the edges stuff. They just introduced a new raid, I guess, that somebody just beat. That's supposed to take a long period of time. Like they said that the first people who beat it like yesterday or the day before, and that it took it was a group of like either 3 or 6, and they were dying like once every 2.5 seconds.
What?
Yeah. So they are rolling out new content. I mean, when you buy the game, there's 2 DLC packs that are coming that if I had to make a guess, they're probably going to be other planets. It seems like it'd be really easy to just throw in more planets. Outside of that, I mean, I played on the PlayStation 4, and so did you. It looked really nice.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the UI and everything. It was kind of weird though how they had that virtual mouse, even though
I know
there's no
that was
PC
an odd
release.
decision.
Yeah. And outside of that, I don't know. Do you think there's anything else that people need to
Not
know
that I can think of.
about?
It was fun. It was pretty, but not overwhelmingly awesome.
It's just, it goes back to that old question of like, if a company spends $1 million on hype, right, and they succeed, and then they don't live up to that hype, do you hold that? Do you bust the game for not living up to the expectation that it set for you, even though you it's one of those questions.
I don't know. That's I really can't. I really can't say if that influenced me at all.
Yeah.
But I would say on a scale of 5 stars.
Yeah.
I would give it 3.
You give it 3?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. I just don't think there's a lot there, and there's a lot of stuff where there were some like genuine missteps, like with the story and everything.
Yeah,
and in spite of it seeming like this giant epic game, it's really not as big as you would think.
It's too easy to see through the artifice to what it actually is.
Yeah.
Which is basically just an unending series of shooting enemies in a small environment, right?
A lot of times in the exact same environment.
Yeah. So I think I liked it a little bit more than you, and I think that it's got longevity. Like I think that I'd rather in 6 to 8 months, right? I think I'd rather go back to Destiny than either like Titanfall or Call of Duty or anything like that. So I am going to give it a 3.5. I kind of teetered on the edge of 4, but I feel like one of the most important things to me in video games is story, and the fact is that if this game had gone out there, if it had not fronted like it had an epic story, if they'd just been like, yeah, whatever, it's mostly multiplayer, like kind of like Titanfall, right, where they just give you enough of a framework, but it shoves that epic in your face so hard that when it doesn't land and you don't connect with it, it's really a letdown. Where you're just like, this should be Mass Effect, but it's not. It's
they led you to believe that it was
right,
and it really isn't. Not even by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah. So, but I still think I'm going to play it because I got Robot Satan. You can make Robot Satan in the game.
Yeah,
he's going to get out there and spread the good. Wait, is Robot Satan a convert of Damocles? I forget.
I believe so.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go spread the good robot word, Jason.
Let's do it.
If you fail, everything you know, everything humans have ever known, will be gone forever. So, no pressure.